Everyone, hello, welcome, welcome. Please let me know if you listen to me well. Sometimes there are, some issues in X space, so please, if you hear me pretty well, react. Yeah, thank you. That means that you can hear me. We're going to start. We have today our special Retro PGF Governance Projects showcase. So, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for giving us your time. So we have the third round of retroactive public goods funding. We have the Retro PGF that will allocate 30 million LP tokens to reward contributions that have supported the development and adoption of optimism. That means that this has already happened. So we are very delighted to have here. We have already owned the audience and already have Mix. We have the blockchain guy, we have Curia, we have Lau. So anyone else that wants to share with us about the work that they were doing in optimism, please also ask for the mic. We are going to start in just a few seconds. I don't know, Pumbi, if you want to say any words before we start with our guest, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chris. I am super happy being here in this uh, super special space with you and these amazing contributors to the OP Collective. So, yeah, really happy. And I think we can start like in any minute. I don't know.
Yes, I think we are already, everyone is here. So we're going to start. So this is going to be like a very like conversation more than anything. We would like to know more about your experience during this round, and we have also kind of a specific questions. But basically, this is for everyone to know more about the work and contributions that you've been doing to the Optimism Collective. So I'm going to first give the word to the blockchain guy. So maybe you want to first to introduce yourself and give us maybe the most relevant. I know that you have like a very long journey with optimism. But maybe your insights, feedback, opinion during this round. What could improve? What have you liked already for these, and how you also maybe talk about measuring impact? And yes, so I'm going to give you first the word and share with us everything that you need to like us to know about this round.
Awesome, thank you. That was a lot of different questions, but I'll do just a quick intro first. I'm Michael, aka the blockchain guy, um, and I've been involved in optimism governance pretty much since the beginning. The biggest reoccurring thing that I'm doing right now is hosting the Token House community calls. As you may know, Optimism has two sides of governance: the Citizens House, which governs Retro PGF, and then the Token House, which manages decisions like upgrades and the grants program and things like that. So if anyone's interested in the Token House, I definitely recommend coming to those calls. There's another one next Tuesday. Um, but yeah, I think this is actually my first round as a Retro PGF badge holder. I was a recipient in round two, but I think that this round is making a lot of progress towards some of. I think it does a pretty good job of taking the learnings from round two and incorporating them. I think the voting structure. I think one I've seen a lot of different takes on Twitter. I think that one thing that people need to do is wait and see what the results are to some extent, because I think the results may actually turn out better than expected. This round we switched to a median voting structure instead of just a weighted average like we had before. And what that does is it basically smooths out the bad opinions from people who might overvalue certain projects or undervalue other projects. And I think it's actually a really powerful uh, mechanism. And so I'm excited to see what the results look like with that. for me, I think like the one thing that this round has been really difficult on, as the number of projects has gone up, is sharing the badge holder knowledge and just general community knowledge across all of the projects. So I think that people, if they discover something good or bad about a project, they'll post it on certain channels, but those aren't unified. And so I think it would be really cool, maybe in the next round, to see a like a unified source of knowledge for all projects where different badge holders can post. We'll have a lot more badge holders as well, where um, you can see all different badge holders' comments on every project. Um, and this allows people to do due diligence, ask questions to the actual projects, and really just have all the information in one place. So I think that's the biggest thing that's happening right now, but it's a lot more piecemeal, where different there's different threads and different people talking on Twitter or in the badge holder channel on Discord or Telegram. So that's one thing I think could be improved the most. Is just we all have our individual knowledge, just finding a way to share that. And then I'll pass it off and allow someone else to answer some of those other questions.
That was really great, actually. And yes, well, you've mentioned, Michael, that you're for this round you're the badge holder. Is there anything that you'd like to share about it? Like, what has the process been like? How you got selected? How are badge holders selected for someone that maybe is interested in this role?
Sure. So I was selected by, there were a few different selection criteria. Some of the top recipients of last round got to nominate a badge holder. The way that I was selected was also previous badge holders were able to nominate another badge holder. So Linda Shi nominated me. She's a delegate in Optimism, and so she saw my work in the Token House. So I definitely appreciate Linda for that. And if you're interested in becoming a badge holder, just try and get involved in projects within the Optimism collective. Like, I remember first hearing about the badge holders way when they first announced it, and there was no kind of structure to the program. And I was thinking, wow, like that sounds really cool. One day I want to be an Optimism badge holder, but I had no idea how to actually contribute. Excuse me. Um, and so I just kept, I just did my own thing basically. I tried to be consistent and consistently show up to the governance, and eventually it worked. I'd say if you're putting in the work to actually make a positive impact, whether that's in Optimism or one of the different chains, OP stack chains, I think eventually um, it's definitely achievable. And those criteria change, so it's hard to predict. The biggest thing is just kind of showing up, getting to know people, um, and putting your effort towards the like public goods in the collective.
Perfect. So thank you so much. I'm going to give the word now to Pumbi. Maybe he wants to ask some other questions or also give the word to the guest. But before that, just want to mention about the voting process. So this is started on November 6th and it's going to finish next Thursday, December 7th. So there is still a couple of more days, and then the results and the token disbursement is going to start early in January. So that, and also just for everyone pretty much is aware, but people that are just starting into Optimism and want to learn more about these projects and everything. Well, the goal with Optimism's retroactive public goods funding is to have this equal impact and profit. So impact equals profit. So that's a principle, positive impact to the collective. And so meaning that impact, it's the value a contributor has created for the Optimism collective, and the profit, it's the value a contributor has extracted from the Optimism collective. And having said that, I'm going to give now the word to Pumbi.
Thank you very much, Chris. Well, now I want to give the word to Lau Namu. I know she were doing an amazing job in the metrics area. She works a lot when the reviewing process of applications, and I want to know like her point of view about this round and what she thinks we as a collective needs to improve or maybe work towards some objectives. So, Lau, please welcome.
Hi, and thanks for the invite. Thank you a lot for creating this space. I think it can be really useful and good for people to learn more about Retro PGF and the current round, and also how can you prepare for the next round? Because I think one of the really nice things of this process is that it is an iterative process. So we're learning on the what went down with Retro PGF 2 round, then we're also learning so much from the current process. And I think this is where it fits really, your question fits in really nicely in terms of what should we be looking to in terms of how can we as a collective improve the whole situation for the next Retro PGF round. First, I think now that people have a better guideline in terms of understanding how can we understand what impact is for the collective. That's going to be really useful for projects to better leverage the and better leverage information that they are already generating on the impact that they've had, whether that is on their communities or the different audiences that they're looking to serve. That can be people that are just getting started in crypto. It can also be developers that are using tools to build on the OP stack, or even just like infrastructure in general for the OP stack. I think now that we've started pushing more into what this impact means for the collective, this is going to serve as a really good foundation for this upcoming, like for Retro PGF 4, so that projects are better able to showcase what is the impact that they are having. Like on my end, as you mentioned, I'm very bullish and on impact evaluation and how we can make this connection of what our projects, what kind of value and um, impact our projects generating for the Optimism Collective. And I think this point is really important. Like Research PGF's goal is not just to fund public goods in general, but it is the specific intention of funding projects that have generated impact for the collective. Because this is also what's going to enable Research PGF to be sustainable. And like this is a point that is really important. Um, we want Retro BGF to be sustainable. Otherwise, this is the last round, or like once the funds are depleted, there's no more Retro BGF. So I think for this, like in this current round, there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of what are the metrics and how projects are showcasing what impact is. I also think that this is natural because this is the first time in which there was a request to provide metrics to showcase and link directly what is the impact that projects are generating. So I do think that this is only going to get better in time. Um, and like, yes, so on the side of information that badge holders will hopefully receive for next rounds, I would love to see more structured data that points out to what is the impact that projects are having. Because then also on the side of badge, like as a badge holder, this makes it so much easier to evaluate in a standardized way, and it's also easier to compare the impact that projects are having, allocate funding. And this is also going to enable both projects and the collective to become more efficient with the resources that we have and be more effective working towards the goals that we want to achieve as a collective.
Thank you very much, Lau. Yeah, we know like from the past round to this round, there was a big like switch from being like vibes driven to a more data driven round. And I think I speak for a lot of projects that it was really challenging to uh, metric or impact for this for the application for this round. So yeah, there is a lot of room for improvement for the future, and I think we are eventually going to get there. So yeah, then we also have Xanix. I researched your project, your application, and I saw the tool you developed. It's really interesting, even more for the Citizens House that is going to be on chain really soon. So welcome, Shanix, and please talk us about your development, please.
Hey everyone, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Xanix. I'm based here in Berlin currently. It's quite cold actually, -6, but then it's super cold. So I'm the co-founder of StreamEve, and we're doing some streaming, but I'm also quite addicted to side projects. And one of the side projects I had was Attestations Visualizer. I'm still looking for the right name, but I'm currently naming it Attestation Visualizer. And it's basically a project to visualize the citizenship of old badge holders. The funny of how I got into why I made this project was some of you maybe know Jonas from Optimism. We work quite a lot together, and at some point we had this issue, or Jonas had this issue where he just was looking at Excel sheets all this time, and yeah, it was really hard for him to see how the badge holders were connected and why they were selected. So then I thought, hey, why not make a graph out of it? And I got some inspiration from other people that helped me out quite a lot. Like someone said to me, yeah, don't make a boring graph. No, make it 3D. Actually, for the people that are curious, you can see the URL is visual.retropgf.app. Yeah, and I don't know, I really enjoyed the app currently, and I love to make it, and I love to help other people, and I actually want to expand this way more into, at some point, visualizing who made which projects and different ways of showing the graph, and maybe even I talked with Lou about this, but maybe even implement a way to see the impacts of each batch holder and their projects.
Thank you, Shanix. I encourage you, please, to pin here any relevant, maybe the link that we can learn more about what you're doing. Please go ahead. I have also pinned already some work, for example, from Laura, that it's related to maybe some tips for everyone that's applying, how you can have your impact more easier to be clear for everyone to know what you've been doing. And also, I would like to quote here this post in particular from Michael, that it says, Optimism's retro PGF is not free money falling from the sky, and you are not entitled to it. It's a piece of a new economic system, and it's earned through making a tangible impact to the Optimism collective. No tangible impact, no retro PGF. Now, I'm going to give the word to our next guess that it's curious. I'm going to give you, you have the time that you want to tell us more about the work that you've been doing in the Optimism Collective.
Okay, thank you for intro and good morning, everyone. My name is Ing. I'm a governance analyst from Korea Lab. So unfortunately, Walid, the lead of our project, he couldn't make it today because you have like another call. So nevertheless, it's my pleasure to be here representing Korea Lab. And I will be here to share the significant impact of the OP governance analytics dashboard is having within the Optimism Collective. Okay, so before we dive into our dashboard, let me briefly introduce Korea. So we are a team of seasoned DAO governance researchers, data analysts, blockchain engineers, and developers. So our mission is to empower the DAO ecosystem with tailored tools and insights, furthering the environment where informed decision and effective strategy thrive. And at Korea, we believe in the power of data to impact the governance processes, making them even more transparent and accountable. Okay, so let me talk about our main focus here. The OP Governance Analytics Dashboard is developed by our team. I don't know, maybe if you guys have heard about our dashboard before, but this platform is like designed to democratize complex DAO governance data, transforming it into clear, actionable insights. And our dashboard is like inclusive. It designed to make governance accessible to every member of the collective, to empower them and to know knowledge for informed decision making. So when you come to our dashboard and you look, it's provide the data that will help you for the decision making. And okay, here's a glimpse into our metric of our dashboard offer. The first one is offer the holder metric. This metric is like you can track OP holder wallets, token supply, whatever supply of the OP ecosystem. And you can track also like the how long the holding period, how long like the user have been holding voting power for, like again. And the next one is the concentration of the voting power metric. This is also very useful because it can analyze the minority versus non-minority representation, the water dominance, and the power of distribution of the collective. You can see like which one is more dominant in the DAO, to see like the healthiness of the DAO as well. And the next one is we have the proposal metric, which provided you with the proposal number. The outcome of the proposal is like the type of the proposal as well. And last one is the participation metric. So where we examine the voter turnouts, the active participation, and the voting behavior pattern. So you can see all the behavior pattern here in our metric. Okay, so we also like in national, our dashboard is like a living project involving with community input. If you guys have tried our product and our dashboard and you have like any feedback, you can just come to us directly to require new feature, or you want to know more about which feature or anything, you can just come directly to us. Okay, so after hearing some feedback from the community, we have added like some new feature into our dashboard. So the first one is like we have the active delegate criteria. So where we define the criteria is to also include delegate who have like voted on the 5 most recent proposals beyond the 50% participation ratio. And we have the seasonal stat as well, where we provide a label of like our participation stat change across season, and the individual delegate page, where we provide the detail of the each delegate displaying their voting history. This delegator have voted this proposal for or anything. We can tracking their power over time as well, and we also provide a list of delegator and more. And the last changes we have been improved is the delegation UI. So where we enable user to delegate or redelegate on each individual delegate page. Okay, this this update has been underscore our commitment to involve our tool in the live with the community needs. So if you like have any feedback, just feel free to reach out to us. Yeah. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is about the impact of our dashboard and to our the collection retro RPG something. Yeah. Our work with the dashboard has already had like a significant impact because for example The auditing the recent season 4 retro delegate report, our data revealed that 8 additional delegates should have been included on the list. This was crucial as it means that the Foundation had initially overlooked this contributor due to an error in their prior calculation, which affected the participation percentage. By identifying this overlooked contributor, we ensure the proper recognition and rewards, exemplifying our data-driving approach to enhance the governance. Okay, so sorry for a long introduce. This let me wrap thing up a little bit. So we see this OP governance analytic dashboard as a powerful tool in our mission to foster transparent, informed, and inclusive governance within the optimism correction. We're proud of our contribution and remain dedicated to refining our tool to respond to community feedback. And thank you for inviting me today, and thank you for joining the space today. And that is it.
Thank you very much for being here. And we also have Sam from I2 Blockchain. So welcome, Sam. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Fine, fine. Please, if you can talk us a little about the work of I2 Blockchain and what you guys are doing. I know like I2 Blockchain is super active in the optimism governance, and you are doing an amazing job. So please tell us a little bit more about your work.
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you for the invite and thanks for all the delegates and their contributions for optimism. And let me start with explaining what I2 blockchain is before its governance. So it is basically the first and the largest university community in Turkey based on blockchain. And it consists of 6 committees, including governance, and its aim is to have different people be educated on each area of blockchain and to have the advanced education and experience with the people that are contributing to I2 blockchain. And one of these committees is governance, and I'm the head of governance there, basically, or we also call it head of delegation, in other words. So what we do is basically we have a team of around 15 people, and we have like developers, designers, researchers in that team, and the team goes over each proposal and each forum discussion together and discusses on that and have some arguments about it, because we have different perspectives and we have different people from different areas. So in a collective, we have a lot of ideas combined for one proposal or one discussion. And after that, we create contents like rationales or forum threads or like Twitter threads, going over each argument that we came up for and have a conclusion of coming with a vote and a decision, as well as arguments and all these rationales. So this would let us have a lot of transparency based on our activeness on governance, as well as decentralization, because we're not only going with an only one perspective, but a lot of those from different people from different areas. So this way, it would create this whole governance process, in conclusion, transparent and decentralized. And what impact it creates is basically having different kind of contributions for optimism's governance, and not only keeping it on the governance forum, but also widening it on Twitter as well, because we post slots and threads based on our rationale and have that Twitter audience be interested on governance more and have people and the whole ecosystem contribute to governance more, because that way they would know basically what it means to be having part in the governance. Another impact is for also the delegates, because it really helps the delegates to have different impressions and opinions that the other delegates have for that proposal. It would let them have a different perspective as well. And that is also something that we really value. And we think that it would really help the whole ecosystem. And we really encourage the other delegates to do that as well. Even if they're an individual or a group, posting rationales would have the people that delegated their tokens to the delegate be more transparent and also follow up the delegate better, and also have the other delegates to like consider other opinions while voting, right? So this is the impact that we aim for, and this is like the structure that we go for. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys would have. And yeah, that would be it. Thank you for the invite once again.
Thank you for all the work that you've been building there in the Optimism Collective. Thank you for also joining us to share everything that you've been working on. And we're just in the middle of the conversation, actually. So we're going to have like a little break. Actually, it's just to give you all the POAP. So please go to your POAP app, and I'm going to share with you the secret word, because this is like a very special space. So it has to be this proof that everyone has been here joining us. So if everyone is ready, the secret word is governance hyphen collective. Everything in lowercase. I'm going to repeat: governance hyphen collective. This everything in lowercase. So yes, it's the name of this space: governance hyphen collective. Okay, we are going to continue because we have actually more questions to ask all of you. So I'm going to give the word now to Pumbi. And don't worry, we're going to repeat in just a few minutes the secret word, because there are like 50 minutes for you to claim the POAP.
Thank you, Chris. So the good thing about this X space is that we have some badge holders and also some applicants. So this is going to be like an open question, and I want to like know the POV from both sides about what you guys think about the 17 votes threshold for this round, because we know like if a project didn't get the 17 votes, they didn't get any funding. So I want to know what you guys think about that. Maybe we can start with Michael or Launamu, and then we switch to the applicant.
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to talk on that. I think that so one problem that I think everything is a trade-off, right? And so one problem that I saw in round two is that there were some badge holders that assigned rewards to every single project in the round. Um, and one of them, I don't know, I don't remember who it was, but they explicitly said that they just gave funding to every single project. And as retro PGF becomes more well known, that behavior is bad in the sense that it incentivizes scammers or spam projects and things like that. Um, the other thing that the threshold protects against is favoritism. I mean, I know a lot of badge holders, including myself, we have projects in the round, and we also have some friends that are also badge holders. And so having like a minimum threshold protects against any kind of cronyism or like I'll vote for your project if you vote for my project and that kind of thing. So in that sense, I think it is actually solving a problem. The downside is that some smaller projects that might have made an impact and meet all the qualifications might not have enough recognition to cross that threshold and actually get the funding that they deserve. So I think one thing that we have to do is wait and see. I've seen a lot of different posts about how many ballots different projects are on, but a lot of the badge holders, I think, are going to finish their voting in the last few days of the period, and so I don't think we can make any hard judgments until that happens. But overall, I think it is a good mechanism to have. I think the question is on the actual number of that project, or the number of that threshold, um, because that's obviously we don't want to uh, lock out any projects that actually do deserve the funding. But my main answer is we should really wait and see how many of those projects actually hit the number before we have any too strong judgments on the effectiveness of this. I mean, the metrics or the mechanism is set for this round, right? You can't announce a round and have voting and then change halfway through, because some batch holders have already submitted their ballots. So I think that we really want to revisit that question after we see which projects did not make it in past that threshold.
Thank you, Michael. I don't know if any other guest want to give their point of view about that threshold, because I read a lot in like crypto X that is an issue for this round.
I can jump in. I think um, I think there may be heightened stress around this number currently because of the information that is available in terms of voting and ballots that have been put forth by batch holders. I think it's important to mention that one, there's still a lot of batch holders, for example, myself included, that are working on our ballots, are working on which lists we're going to leverage, and therefore there's still no good information on how many projects have received X number of votes. There is, I can also share that there is an intentional effort by batch holders to look at which projects haven't made the 17 votes threshold so that we ensure that we make it as fair as possible for all projects to meet the quorum. I think this is also a very important piece in which where lists come in. As probably, I hope everyone is aware, there's over 600 applications that batch holders are looking into. The expectation is also not for batch holders to look at all of them, but to leverage the knowledge from other batch holders that would be better able to assess specific categories. Like we want to ensure that we are drawing from the expertise of other batch holders through the lists that they've created. And this also may mean that it could be that I'm not the most knowledgeable person around a specific topic. And so I am waiting to see another batch holder that I know is create a really good list or share a good methodology for how they are choosing to allocate funding to specific projects that I'm not very knowledgeable about. And I will use that to complete my votes. So I think as Michael mentioned, this is going to be something interesting to understand how this threshold works for projects and for funding allocation. I did mention like on the forum that another version that I could envision moving forward or like experimenting with it in another round is having a threshold that fluctuates based on what is the amount that a project would be getting. I think that would be something really interesting in terms of like similar to how other grant programs work. There's different steps that applicants have to complete depending on the amount of money that they are applying for. So I could also see a future experiment in which we have different thresholds of votes required based on the amount that a project would be getting, where if they are getting a large amount of funds, they should have received several votes. But if it's a small amount of funds, they could only they could get it with a smaller number of votes. And I understand the concern. Like my main concern in the terms of the amount of votes that projects would need to get was based on the fact that there's regional and localized efforts that may be not very well known to all of batch holders. But I do believe, and I have seen it through the lists that some of the other batch holders are putting forth, like there is a conscious effort to support batch holders that may not have this knowledge, with lists that specify projects that are creating and having regional impact and a methodology for how these projects were chosen.
Now that you have mentioned about lists, I've seen a lot of comments about this specific tool. I don't know if, according to your insight, this is really helpful. Some people say that it's making totally the opposite. So focusing on this round, and I'm going to go to you first, Lau. How do you think this is like impacting in a positive way for projects? The lists, I mean.
I think the lists are, I personally am a huge fan of lists. I've been advocating for them for quite a long time. And I'm really excited to see the lists that other batch holders have created. I'm also really excited to see the lists that community members have developed. Like I was looking through some of those at retrolist.app, which is a really nice tool that also lets community members create and propose their own lists. While these lists are not will not show or be displayed on the batch holders voting site, we as batch holders can still see those lists and we can choose to leverage them if we want. I would just highly encourage people to create really good methodologies for their lists. That goes for both batch holders and community members that are looking to generate their own lists. And the reason is that why you would choose to use a list, in my opinion, and from a lot of the feedback that I've seen as well, is highly dependent on what is the methodology that was used to select the projects that are in the list and the amounts, in particular, the amounts are that are allocated for the projects in this list. I think, and what I've seen and what I've experienced is that lists are a really good way to leverage the knowledge from other batch holders. Like I am not specialized on the OP stack, so for me it's really useful for someone else to create a list on nodes on layer 1 and other infrastructure for OP stack that I can then leverage or even use as a way to assess if the initial amounts that I had thought of for a project kind of resonate with some of the other batch holders. I do think that there's definitely improvements that can be done. I think one of the main challenges that I've faced and seen with list creation is that you can have several projects in different lists. And if you want to use 2 or 3 of those lists, then it becomes a little challenging to determine, okay, then what is the final amount that X or Y project is going to get. I think this can be improved with UI and like changes on how the lists are presented. But lists are something really that I think are really useful and would like to see like how we can continue to iterate on those to make voting easier as well.
Thank you, Lau, for sharing your insights on lists. And yeah, something that you have mentioned is that like every round has something unique and something that everyone can learn from and improve. So actually, this kind of like feedback from batch holders, even from people that are applicants, is really helpful for the whole optimism collective. Um, Michael, I don't know if you would like to share also your insights on this, or if you want to pass this question. Also, it's good.
Um, sure. I agree with. I think lists is a really good idea. I think there are a bunch of product type user interface things that could be improved for badge holders. Because, like Lau said, if you might have two lists that you're looking at and you want to combine them or something, there isn't really an easy way to do that. For me, the main way I've been using lists personally is um, when someone has a methodology that I like, or if they are, an expert in the OP stack or something like that, I'm using it as like my starting guide to look at projects to get a general idea of like basically to learn more about those projects. Some of the lists that I like are the ones that Carl did, which were generated programmatically, a lot of them based on open source contributions. And also, there was another one based on sequencer fees that was also programmatically generated. And I think that just gives valuable context for those things combined with, other criteria that I find personally valuable, like some of the maybe more subjective criteria. So I think lists are a really good place to source the knowledge, especially for me as a starting point when reviewing projects. Um, I think it's hard as far as making a list. Like I put together a list for governance, and I didn't include amounts because I my thinking was I wanted to put a list out so that people could actually use it, but um, I wasn't like tied. I didn't want to be tied down to certain amounts, especially seeing, the way that other badge holders have been flamed on X and called out because they might have got an amount wrong. Um, I think like that's a issue we should try and work on is somehow being a little forgiving about. I mean, the problem is every time I see someone's list, I really disagree with one or two of the things. We're all bringing our own perspectives in, right? So I think any list you look at, you're probably going to disagree, and that's not a bad thing because um, by pulling together all of these various perspectives, hopefully we can arrive at some kind of like objectively good middle ground. But the side effect of that is when you look at someone's lists, you might hate them, and when someone looks at my list, they might hate them too. Um, and so I think trying to find a way in the UI where we basically can allow the badge holders to use these as a guide, but maybe not just allocate directly the amounts suggested in the lists, I think would be a useful thing, at least for me. Um, but I think they have been helpful overall in reviewing applications. I just they're just it's an experiment and we're not there yet. I think clearly in this round.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your insight. We are getting into the end of this space. I am going to repeat once again the word of the POAP. So please, for those ones who had some issues, and this is your last opportunity. So the word is governance hyphen collective. Again, governance hyphen collective, and it's also the last time to claim the POAP. And now I would like to invite to Curia, to Shani, to Sam, to share one last words about what would you like people to take away from the projects that you're building before closing this space. So I'm gonna go first with Shanix.
Sorry, what was the question exactly?
Closing words before leaving the space.
Oh, okay, right. Fair enough. Well, create things you like to create, and don't let anyone hold back. I keep it short.
Let's continue with some from ITU blockchain. Are there like any words that you would like to? I don't know if people are listening to me. Are they?
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
sorry.
Great.
I would just say thank you once again for all the contributions, and it is very important for the whole ecosystem and not only optimism to support governance and take part in it. So yeah, go for it and continue doing that. It is definitely worth all of the time and everything you have for it. So yeah, and once again, thanks for Steve Latam for having me and for the invite.
Thank you. And Curia, is there any specific words that you would like everyone to take away from the work that you're building?
Okay, so firstly, I would like to thank everyone for joining here as like participation in the DAO, and thank you for um the journey that we have been through together in this DAO together, and just keep building on what you're building. So if you not start, so you're not gonna make it through. So, and probably that's it for my sorry about being so short.
Oh, that's perfect. So everyone, please go follow these projects because they're doing a lot of things for the Optimism Collective. And it will be even, you don't know, but sometimes even likes or sharing what they are doing, it means a lot. So I once again thank you so much for joining our space. And we probably will see more of these. And remember that there are just a couple of days before votes end. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye bye. I don't know, Pumbi, if you want to say one last words.
Yeah, thanks for everyone for joining, and especially for Michael, Lawson, Shanix, and Kuria. I hope every one of you have a great RetroPDF round, and keep building and keep contributing to the OP Collective. Thank you.
Oh, I'm gonna give the word to Lau, who has their hand there. So, Lau, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I actually think that one of the most valuable things here is for people to learn more about like optimism governance, and like I'm really excited that we're sharing about Retro PGF. Like I think the impact in terms of like knowledge share and getting people to vote is not this high in this space because of the structure of the process. But what I would like everyone to take away is governance is a collective effort, and we need everyone to participate in improving and building the optimism, governance, and processes. So if you have any comments, things, improvements that you would like to see for Vitro PGF, please go to the governance forum. There is a beautiful thread for feedback, and write down your feedback there. Everything gets lost in crypto Twitter, so the most effective way to make your needs met and get people to listen to your ideas on how this project should continue to evolve is to put it down in the governance forum. Please do that.
Perfect. That will be all. Oh, Michael, is there one last words you would like to say?
Sure, I'll just end with this really quick. I think it's important to remember why Retro PGF was started in the first place. I'll just make it super quick. We're building all these things that are good for the world that before may or may not have had business models, right? The goal is to be able to scale this so that everyone across not just optimism, but across all of technology, across all of the world, can eventually build these good things and be rewarded for them. These kinds of incentives didn't exist before, so we're building that new incentive system that can theoretically make everything a better place. But um, it's not guaranteed. And so just being here on this call is great. Hosting the call, thank you everyone. By spreading the message and trying to really understand, reading some of the Ethers Phoenix stuff or some of Carl from Optimism, their interviews are really, really good on understanding why we're doing retro PGF. But I just want to encourage everyone to be in this for the right reasons. Yes, there's a lot of money at stake, but if you're building a project, really try and make an impact. Don't try and game the system, and that will lead to the best results in the end anyway for you. And same thing with badge holders, even if we're arguing about the mechanisms, we're all doing this to create this new system. And so definitely keep the focus on that. And I'm so excited to be on this journey with everybody. So yeah, thanks everyone.
Perfect way to close this space. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.